In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders.
That's assault, that's assault, break that up, pop that chair, that's assault, that's assault, break that up, pop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault, that's assault, you cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that up, these people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault, that's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that go? I will. Excuse me. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. That's that chair. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. That's break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Stop that. That's assault. That's assault. Stop that. Break that. That's assault. Stop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will be assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will.
Did I put the wrong time? Oh no. Well, that's what I get for wearing a mushroom hat. By the way, check out the Fun Guys podcast. This is their official hat. It has officially become my boyfriend's hat, and now it is my hat. I am a mushroom.
You cannot touch me like that.
What did you expect from me?
Assault. Break that up. Stop that chair here. You cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Stop that chair. Stop that chair. Stop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. Break that up. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Stop that chair here. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Break that up. Stop that chair here. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. It is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that up. Break that up. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that?
Yes.
Well, I will be. Excuse me. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. Stop that chair. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. That's assault. Stop that. That's assault. Stop that. Break that. That's assault. Stop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will be assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that up. Stop that chair here. You cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Stop that chair. Stop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up.
AK, thank you for being a member for 4 months. We appreciate you, and thank you very much. Also, this hat is very hard to hear through, but I'm digging it. I really like it. It makes me feel mysterious. I'm definitely going to keep it. Oh my God, it's Mary Malaki. Mary, what do you think of my mushroom hat? It is my boyfriend's, which means it's now mine. Do you like it? Should I keep it? Feels right. I don't know. It feels pretty right. The Fun Guys podcast. Check it out. This is their hat. Oh my God. Wait. Can I just Can I just float? Can I just... I'm a floating head. Perfect.
Oh, I will win. That's a song. That's a song. Oh, I will. That's a song. 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 Oh, I will. That's a song.
Also, do I have to restart this if I put it at 12 hours from now? Because I really didn't realize I did that till later. Is it going to make me do 2 of them? Is this even going to show up for people? I'm so confused. It's fine. It'll be fine. I'm in a mushroom hat. What could go wrong?
That's a song. 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 Oh, I will be telling you. That's a song. 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 Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Drop that chair here. That's a song. Read that. That's a song. That's a song. That's a song. Oh, I will be telling you. That's a song. That's a song. Oh, I will be telling you. That's a song. 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 Oh, I will. That's a song. That's a song. That's a song. That's a song.
I'm going to tell him Mary said I can keep it. I'm going to tell him. Okay, everyone. It's going to go right into the thing. All right. Whoa. Doesn't get more Karen than that. Oh, I have to take it off for him to keep blending into the background, which could be funny, but possibly disrespectful. Fine. Let me rip my hat off. I'll be right back. Fuck. Can't rock mushroom core during this? Damn it.
Full disclosure, we invited you here, but of course it is unusual for someone who's accused of murder to do this interview or others.
By the way, in case you were wondering, I'm going to show you. It is Boston 25 News. Karen Reed tells her story in exclusive one-on-one interview, the extended cut. Remember when Chris Watts started acting like a big dickhead and talking all funny and being all sneaky Snoopy, and they put out the unedited footage? I have a feeling this is going to be something like that, only she's not Chris Watts. You know what I mean? Like an extended, like they're going to take all the unedited shit and toss in what they can squeeze in there. In addition to the 6-minute interview, I think was one of them, and the other was something like 10, maybe 13. So there's a lot of extra footage, as you can see. Or maybe they're going to combine it with some old stock reporting. I don't know. I'm very interested. It looks like it's like, oh, no, this is just straight up interview. This is going to rule. All right, here we go. Here we go. I don't think I'm going to get a strike because the news stations, they never copyright strike. It's wild. It's like one of the few things that's like, nope. And that's why all the found footage, because it belongs to someone else. Someone else made it. So that's why found footage is cool. And that's why Boston 25 News and any news station really is cool. It's for public consumption.
Why do you want to speak to the people of Massachusetts and beyond?
I have nothing to hide. My life is in the balance, and it shouldn't be. And I believe sunlight is the best disinfectant. And that's been our team motto since inception. I think the more I've seen, the more information the public has, the more they understand what we already know.
And when we talk about the public, there's so much going on in the atmosphere of this case. How much of that do you pay attention to?
I pay attention a little bit to everything. The parts of the public that seem a little dirtier than others, I have close friends and people I trust that filter through it, because there are threads of important information in every channel of the public on social media, just out and about in Norfolk County or in Suffolk, through our emails. So what I can't manage or don't want to manage, we have a lot of it covered from people that we trust and people who support us.
I mean, I think that's a direct shout out to our boy Nick Rocco. So far, it looks like the perm wars are on hold. because Deborah's in Pakistan getting another husband. That's right, that whore be shining. Okay? But I think that's what she means. She's got a power team. She's got a bunch of people around her that help her out. Close friends, probably family, probably her cousin, you know? It's what you do when you're in a time of crisis. When you're going through some shit. You let your close friends and your family handle it. I mean, I think that she's right. Being transparent and giving out as much information as you can and putting it all out there on the table is the best road, especially when, you know, you're being framed or gaslit or whatever. Remember when I was getting fucking hosed with jizz on the internet? And I said, okay, I'll just put it all out there on Twitter here. You can see all of it. This is everything I got. It kind of like shows people, yo, I got nothing to fucking hide. Here's what's up. Now, this is a much bigger deal. This is a woman's life. This is a much bigger deal than most problems that anybody will have in a lifetime. So for her, it's extra important. And the fact that she's letting people know, hey, I'm open. You got any ideas? Got anything that's like helpful? Are you afraid to speak out? Guess what? I'm a line of communication. I think this is a brilliant beginning to an interview. It's remaining open.
People said some pretty nasty things about you online. Do you read that? Do you process that?
I read some of it. I don't take it to heart, but it's bothersome. But I understand why it is. There are bad, evil, nefarious players in this. There are people who are adverse to other people in this whole case, people who support me. And I've known my whole life, as does everyone, that there's not a lot of good in some people. And it doesn't drag me down in any way. It makes me feel like we're covering ground here. The nastier it gets, the more I know that we're making an impact to people that have a lot to worry about.
I mean, that is a great response. I mean, if someone's getting pissed off, you must be doing something right, right? If someone's getting really vocal when they haven't been vocal, I mean, you could also be doing something wrong. I mean, if somebody's like falsely accusing you of something and you get vocal, I mean, does that mean that they're right? No, but vice versa. If you're standing up for yourself, though, and then other people are being extremely vocal about that and keep hounding you, and then send other people to do their bidding, like it's an attack. And she's saying, look, I can't fucking worry about that shit right now. Very interesting way to start out the interview, and I like it. She's addressing head on a lot of the nastiness online, a lot of the issues that affect her case that she can't control. And she's explaining very carefully, here's what I can control, here's what I can't control, here's why I feel this way, here's what I intend to do about it. Dust that shit off your shoulder. So far, great start. And notice how she's doing all the talking. I noticed a lot of people were giving her flack for having Alan there, which is, I mean, I've said this before, like most defense attorneys, they would tell you to shut the fuck up, right? Just to say nothing ever. And if you are going to do an interview, I better be there, right? She's doing all the talking and he's not shushing her. That's good. She's a good talker. I like it.
3 years have now passed since John's death. How much do you think about him with everything else that is going on?
I think about him in terms of his final days, his final weeks. I mean, we have his cell phone, which a cell phone to anyone is like a diary, and it tracks everything you've done. And I've gone over and over his final movements, his heart rate, his injuries, the time that he did everything that day and the days leading up to it. But I've said this to other people. The time that I spent with John, 2 years, it's now been 3 since he's gone. since he was killed. And I'm a year beyond. I've eclipsed the time that I spent with him. And I have very mixed feelings, you know, when I look back on John, because I see a lot of poor decisions that were all precursors to his death and to this nightmare that I'm living. It's
Poor decisions by whom?
by both of us. Just drinking, being around the wrong people is chief among them. Wrong people for the weeks leading up. They wouldn't have been people I would have chosen on my own to be around.
Have you been able to start a new social life, a new dating life since this?
No, I have my friends that were always in my life. I'm closer to them than ever. And it's been kind of a bittersweet silver lining is I don't know that I ever would have known my friends and family had this in them to be there for me in this way. So I feel very fortunate. And I've met so many new people. And that's enough of a life for me right now is, you know, we go out for dinner just to get out, and we end up just kind of hungered down over a table discussing the case. And I value their input, and I'm content with my social life, even though it's really just socializing about the case.
How big is Karen Reed's inner circle?
My inner circle, well, half of it's my attorneys, who...
You can tell she kind of hates that question because it does seem stupid. Like, your inner circle? Like, what is this, Entourage? Are you asking who do I fucking hang out with? There's so many. It just seems silly. It seems weird to ask someone that who's not like a celebrity, but I guess maybe she is. I don't know. It probably just feels uncomfortable for her. But I like how she smiled with that answer because I think maybe she's the type who also smiles when she's uncomfortable.
Reed's inner circle.
Hence why I think the "Are you funny, Miss Reed?" that shit aggravated me. Or is there something that's funny, Miss? What'd she say? Is there something funny, Miss Reed? That aggravated me to no end. It really did. It kind of pissed me off because I'm the type who giggles when I'm uncomfortable, and I can't imagine a judge calling me out on it. Like, rude as fuck. It's not like at that time it was like, what was it, like a sidebar thing? It's so stupid.
Circle?
My inner circle, well, half of it's my attorneys, who we just talk so much. There's always so much ground to cover, and we can't wait until trial starts to really begin strategizing or going through the details. We do a little bit every day.
Do a lot every day.
We do I should say we do a little bit in proportion to the total task at hand, but
I'm gonna speed it up, but it sounded like there was someone talking in the background, like in the office. That was kind of weird. I wonder if they're in the lawyer's office and maybe some clients with someone else walked in. That was kind of funny.
so much. There's always so much ground to cover, and we can't wait until trial starts to really begin strategizing or going through the details. We do a little bit every day.
Do a lot every day.
We do, I should say, we do a little bit in proportion to the total task at hand, but we cover a lot of hours every day. I probably talk to Alan and Liza each 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah, he's asking a lot of like dumb questions that it sounds like a press junket for a movie. Like, get to the gabagool. But he's the type, I mean, you can see it's an hour and 11 minutes, which is why I sped it up. But like, he's the type, he's gonna try to slow roll into it and get the dirty shit out of the way. Huh.
And I think it makes us all feel good that we're going to be that much more prepared when we have to do this for round 2. But my inner circle, I don't know. It's bigger than it was. It's bigger than it was before, but it feels stronger than it ever was. I know that I can trust the people that I chose to have in my life.
Is that 5, 10?
10 maybe.
Okay.
Really, really tight. It's probably 5.
Alan, have you ever had a client who's advocated for themselves as much as Karen does?
Not as articulately or as intelligently as Karen does. Karen is an innocent woman falsely accused. She could sit back and say, go handle this. You're the professionals, go deal with it. That is not in her personality. And we're a better team for it. She has an encyclopedic knowledge of literally every single page of the discovery. I've never seen anything like it. She has an analyst's brain. She's got a rapier
Did he say rapier? What? Also, they just showed, it turns out they are in the news station. But I'm going to go back. I love the way he's talking about her. This is great. This is great. She's intelligent. She's articulate. She is spacing out a little. You can tell that it's hard for her, I think, to maybe take these compliments. Because when a million people are shaming you all the time, I'd imagine that's probably eating away at her. And also, you know, I get the impression, I could be wrong, but I get the impression that Karen's kind of tired of all this fuss being made about her. But she kind of has to. You know what I mean? She's got to defend herself. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my body language expertise is not up to snuff. But it just seems right here like she's just like, God, I can't believe I'm fucking sitting here doing this.
Deal with it. That is not in her personality, and we're a better team for it. She has an encyclopedic knowledge of literally every single page of the discovery. I've never seen anything like it. She has an analyst's brain. She's got a rapier intelligence that is attendant to this type of analysis. Very, very smart, very motivated.
Thank you. I thought it was pronounced differently. It sounds bad.
She has no off button. I'm getting texts. I wake up, I'm on the West Coast. So I wake up, she's been awake for 3 hours. And nearly every day, I feel like, damn it, I've fallen back again. I've fallen behind again. Liza and I have to sort of get back on the treadmill and catch up with where Karen is today, because she'll literally just pick something out of the blue. To me, it's out of the blue. To her brain, it makes sense for her to pull this document or pull this report and say, well, have we thought about this paragraph or this sentence or this word in this report here or there? And then we gather together as a team, me and David and Liza and Karen will get on the phone and talk it through. So she's been, more than any other client I've ever seen, any other client I've ever met, she's been at the center of her own defense. She knows she didn't do this. She's motivated to make sure that the truth comes out.
Has she made any seminal decisions in this case? Have we seen any filings that are directly from her decision and her thought process of how things should play out?
The better question is,
it feels so weird to have two men sitting there and one of them is saying her and you're right there. Like, he could just ask her. I hate that.
have we seen any filings that she didn't have a seminal investment in, a decision about, a suggestion about? Every single thing that you've ever seen filed in this case has gone through Karen, at least I mean, some of them are hyper legal, right? But she's educated herself on, she'd make a better lawyer than most lawyers these days. But she will have an impact, and she's got a seat at the table in terms of strategy and tactics that we use every single day.
There are so many people who have never met you, but are so invested in your life and the outcome of this case. I know there are some who adamantly support you, but do you ever worry about your safety with the people who do not want to see you succeed in this case?
I did more earlier on. I feel more insulated now. I feel safer that people know, because if anything ever happened to me or someone that I love, I think a lot of people would know where to look. So that makes me feel safer.
Have you received any credible threats?
Yep, I have. There's been some online that just the fact that someone's brazen enough to even post something like that gives you some insight into their stability or lack thereof.
People showing up at your house, calling your private cell phone?
No, that has not. I've really not had my physical boundaries impinged in any way, nor have my parents. I think by and large, very large.
I like that she clarified that. I mean, it feels very honest, because she could pull the, I guess, virtue signal or pull a victim card there or just lie. And we've seen a lot of people do shit like that around this case. But she's very upfront. She's like, nope, it hasn't gone that far yet. I have gotten threats online. And she has. I mean, they've been open to the public. We've all seen them. Lots of crazy shit. Lots of crazy shit. I mean, horrific shit from Good Time Jewel Carp. Oh my God. These bitches hate a bitch who's succeeding. They jealous because they smell us, dude. It is wild. I like her honesty. So far, I don't like some of the dynamic between the interviewer, how he directs things to AJ. I think he could be more smooth at that. But I do like that she commandeered the beginning part. I like that she's being pretty upfront and honest with things in a way that, like, I think she's genuine. I don't know. It's not too bad. I think the questions are shit, though. He's asking really dumb questions. These are press junket questions. This is Cannes Film Festival questions. I don't know what's going on here.
There are very friendly people all around me.
Your defense strategy is the most aggressive I've ever seen in a case. You've taken on the DA, you've taken on the judge. How much of that is Karen Reed? How much is that the team?
Did this man not watch Sean Ellis? I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Probably equal parts. The defense strategy comes down to probably 3 or 4 words: get the truth out. That's the defense strategy. It may be more aggressive than you're used to. The conduct in this case is more dire than I'm used to. I've seen a lot of cases. I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't think I've ever seen a case with as many questions, as many suspect actions, and as much
Well, look at her. She's got herself a bit of a brain on her, doesn't she? And she can cook, too.
suspect conduct as I've seen in this case. There is unequivocally corruption in this case. There are absolutely cover-ups in this case. There's conduct by law enforcement and the DA's office, that the likes of which I've never seen. And my job, our job as a team, is to get that truth out. I'm not going to sit idly by. Our team is never going to sit idly by and let an innocent woman be convicted based on false evidence, false pretenses, cover-ups, agreements and decisions on the other side to hamstring the defense, hamstring our ability to get the truth out. I'm not going to sit idly by to do that. So
I wouldn't sit idly by near some ham either. I could do some ham right now.
is it aggressive? Sure, it's aggressive. But a woman's life is in the balance. So yeah, we're going to stay aggressive. We've been aggressive. We're going to stay aggressive until the truth comes out.
I think it was 4 words at the end of the last trial, and it was, I'm going to declare a mistrial. What was that like for you to take in?
It was the outcome that I had thought about the least. I thought about the best case scenario, and I always think about the worst because that's how I'm able to process. I have to think it through. How will I deal with this? Who will fight for me if I'm not sitting here to fight for myself? And of course, I thought about an acquittal because I know I deserve it. I had not really thought about a mistrial. It was only a couple days. It was like day 2, the end of day 2 into the deliberations, that both David and Alan told me separately when we were in the church next door that this could be a mistrial. And the prospect of that at that time during jury deliberations was a gut punch. But then when it was declared, it was such a relief that I was free. I was free to sleep in my own bed, hug my parents, continue to work on this case. My immediate next worry was, I hope I have my team available to go to battle all over again. But those moments waiting to hear 12 strangers determine what is going to physically happen to you for the foreseeable future or forever. When you're able to walk out a free woman or man, it was an incredible relief. You just see your life it can just be taken away from you.
As we head to the second trial,
It's a clam. Clam. Em and I go miss. Clam, you're here, Clam. We missed you. How are you doing, Clam? We are watching the full blown as fuck Karen Reed interview, one-on-one extended. I figured let's do a watch party.
the possible outcomes here could be a conviction. That could be prison time. How much have you thought about that?
I think about it every day, about prison time, and it doesn't frighten me the way it did 3 years ago. I was arrested 3 years ago tomorrow, and I've been in jail twice as a result of this prosecution. I've now accepted the fact that what's happening to me and the awareness this case has raised and the eyes it's opened, that is what my purpose is in Massachusetts and whatever effect this has in other parts of the country. And even if a jury got it wrong.
Okay, pause right there. I have to say something. She just said something very important. I'm glad we watched this. Let me play it again. Was this a slip or was this purposefully said? I like this. This makes me think something. Let's see if you guys think the same thing. Here this.
Ago, I was arrested 3 years ago tomorrow,
Not
and
part.
I've been in jail twice as a result of this prosecution. I've now accepted the fact that what's happening to me and the awareness this case has raised and the eyes it's opened, that is what my purpose is in Massachusetts and whatever effect this has in other parts of the country.
Say it again, Karen.
The eyes it's opened, that is what my purpose is in Massachusetts and whatever effect this has in other parts of the country.
And whatever effect that has in other parts of the country. How could this case possibly affect other parts of the country? If it went to the Supreme Court, not the Massachusetts one, the big one. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. That makes me think that they are definitely appealing, for sure, as high as they possibly can. Like they're going to go, they will take her higher. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Like that is, I mean, to me, that sounds like confident confirmation that this could affect some national precedent, which tells me they're probably willing to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And thank you. Love this mug. It's a great mug. Look at the other side. I got it at Ross. She was in jail twice. Twice. And here's the thing. This is AJ didn't stop her. They're willing to go all the way to the top. I think that was important. I don't know why, but I just think that was important what she just said. Let's keep going.
Even if a jury got it wrong, or there's even more nefarious behavior on behalf of this prosecution, then just even more awareness will be raised. So I can accept whatever happens. Nothing will ever get the best of me or break me down.
There have been sort of these unsubstantiated claims in the atmosphere.
Hold on, I'm going to go back to his question. But Mary, you know, somebody else said that it sounds like an attack from AFKR. Like this guy is maybe, Ted Daniels is maybe troving for data or info on behalf of the Commonwealth. Other people have said that they're very pro-Karen. What do you think? Because that is a weird question. But also it feels crazy. Like any filings directly from her? And she's sitting right there. Like that's what felt weird to me. But I wonder if that was also like industry plant. Was that a Bobby Altoff?
I can accept whatever happens. Nothing will ever get the best of me or break me down.
There have been sort of these unsubstantiated claims in the atmosphere that there might have been some funny business with the jurors who were dismissed.
Right.
Is this a real concern that you have? Is this something that you are looking at, or have you just dismissed it as rumor?
I'll never just dismiss that as rumor. Something like that is, it's too convenient for the prosecution for us to just dismiss out of hand. Do I have any evidence, specific evidence, that there was?
Great question. AJ and Yannetti actually, I believe somebody had mentioned a while back that they don't typically handle appeals, which is why they got the third turd to represent them at the Massachusetts Supreme Court level. So I would imagine that perhaps that same fella might do so should they choose to take it that far. But great question.
Was jury tampering? I don't have any specific evidence of it. Do I think that there are questions that should be asked? Do I think that there are questions that have been raised about the way the jurors were dismissed and who was dismissed very specifically? There were jurors who very, very clearly throughout, it's impossible to sit 8 feet away from 12 or 15 folks and not get an idea, just a chemistry idea of where those jurors are one way or the other based on certain, body language and facial expressions, etc., sighs and huffs and arm folds and leaning forward, leaning back, things of that nature based on certain witnesses. It's interesting that three of probably the most stalwart jurors who we believed, and I will go to my grave believing, were very supportive of the defense, ended up cast aside within minutes, not days or hours, within minutes of the jurors deliberating, within minutes of me standing up and giving my final summation. Those three jurors were gone. So is that a query? Absolutely. Have I dismissed it? I'll never dismiss it. Is there anything to do about it? Not so sure.
One of the state troopers who was involved with the Norfolk DA's office and on the periphery of the investigation was also responsible for the jury?
Right. He wasn't that far on the periphery of the investigation. He was involved in the investigation. He was direct supervisor over the individuals that were testifying and over and about whom we had leveled some very, very serious claims and ended up proving those claims during the course of direct and cross-examination, the presentation of our case. That person, that supervisor, we found out well into the trial. As a matter of fact, at the end of the trial, we found out is the very person who was governing the jurors. That's a question that should be raised. That is an issue that should be teased out. Should never, ever happen. That is the very definition of a conflict of interest.
Is that standard in Massachusetts for just the DA's office to assign whoever they want to go be the sort of,
supervisor
of the jury? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it standard in Massachusetts? I hope not. I've never seen that in my life. But if I had a nickel for every time I said I've never seen this in my life as it pertains to the Massachusetts justice system, the criminal justice system, I'd have a lot of nickels. I've never seen that happen. It should never have happened. It's abhorrent to the system of justice in which we work. Those kinds of conflicts of interest they just can't stand. But they did, and we weren't even told about it. I mean, that was one of the most galling parts of that revelation is that wait, this has been happening under our nose the entire trial, and I'm just now finding out about it. We would have made hay about it as soon as we found out, and we did. But it was 10 minutes before I was about to stand up and close the case.
Some of the things that Michael Proctor said about you were objectively vicious. What was it like to be there in court and listen to all those texts?
Another relief. So many moments in court were a relief to me because I've known these things in some cases for years and had to keep it amongst our inner circle. Nothing Michael Proctor texted and admitted out loud in court about me would ever offend me. I'm proud of my overcoming of health crises. Proctor was just letting the public know what I've known about Michael Proctor, who he really is. And it's just luck that, as I know it, Michael Proctor doesn't have a daughter. But
Damn, dude. Damn. I wanted to encourage myself not to interrupt. I wanted to dip out, but I gotta come back in and say, damn, bitch. She a bad bitch. She's saying it doesn't bother me at all. I'm fucking relieved. Let him hear it. I want them to see who he really is. Ooh. And then I'm glad he doesn't have a daughter. Ooh. Bitch, me too. Me too. I can't believe his wife stayed with him. Holy shit.
those text messages, as vile as they are, I think are the least of his offenses.
Alan, you could have had Michael Proctor read one or two of the text. You spent hours having him read those out loud. I'm sure that was done by design.
It was. Everything that we did in that cross-examination of Michael Proctor was done by design. I wanted to make sure that I had an audience of 12 folks. An undefined 12 folks sitting in that jury box who were going to make a judgment about, not just about Karen Reed, they were going to make a judgment about the prosecution and about the investigating officer in charge of the prosecution or in charge of the investigation. They needed to see and hear a full panoply of who this person really is and get down to the fabric of the human being. That's the only way they could assess the veracity.
I'm also going to interrupt to say that I like AJ because every time he is speaking, I learn new words. Panoply? What? I'm going to go look that up and use it in a sentence later. Thank you. Get him, Karen, says Tanya. No, Mary says, I feel Ted Daniels is 100% behind Karen Reed's innocence. I think all the reporters, news stations want the gotcha question. Ah, I see. Oh, gotcha. I gotcha, Mary. It's a good point. They do. I think the gotcha question here that I don't think she can answer, but it would be, Who do you think did it? What do you think happened? I'm sure they'll ask. Let's see.
Of the entire investigation. As goes the investigating officer, goes the investigation. And the prosecution, the Commonwealth, wanted to hide that. They wanted to mask it. They didn't want to give those data over to us. They didn't want to give those texts to us. They tried mightily in front of the court to get those suppressed. Why? Because as goes the investigator, goes the prosecution. The texts were vile. They were disgusting. They were not just, as Michael Proctor tried to slough them off, regrettable. Regrettable, Mr. Proctor? Seriously? That's the best you can come up with in terms of what the things that you're saying and the bias that you're showing about a criminal defendant and accused who has yet to be convicted of anything? That's the best you can say, is it's regrettable. It's far beyond.
This is exactly how I grew up with an aunt who was my age, and she used to torture the shit out of me. She was evil, but she was also, let's just say she had two sides. And when she was not evil, she was fiercely protective of me. And I will never forget the amount of times she went full AJ on the bus. I will never forget her standing up in front of my police and saying, "Prove it. Get a warrant. Prove it. When did you see this? You didn't see this. In fact, I think," and then full AJ, like using her words. Another time she grabbed a boy by the hair and smashed his head into the wall. But one time in particular, she gave a beautiful speech. I wanted to clap. That's how I feel every time AJ talks. He ain't got no quit. He doesn't.
Regrettable. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. That man should not ever carry a badge. That man should not ever carry a gun. He should never have any authority over the community members ever again.
This is a dad whose kid just got his ass whooped by the neighbor's kid, and he's going to the neighbor's house to give him a piece of his mind.
You surprised that he's been fighting for his job?
Yeah. What I think he should probably do is put his tail between his legs and get out of the jurisdiction and go find some other line of work, someplace where he can't hurt people.
How will Michael Proctor play in the retrial?
Oh, he's going to play large in the retrial. They can't. The prosecution, I think, probably wants very badly to take some magic eraser, some pixie dust, and erase Michael Proctor from the minds of the public, and certainly not from the minds of the new jury who's going to come in and assess this case. They're not going to be able to do it, not as long as we're breathing. Michael Proctor is going to be a part of this case, whether he likes it or not.
Because they don't necessarily have to call him, but obviously you have a right to call him as a witness.
Correct, and we will. If they don't call him, we will. We're not going to allow the Commonwealth to hide the truth from the last jury or this upcoming jury.
He's touched everything, everything.
There's no part of the case that he hasn't affected. No part of the case that he hasn't affected. He was in charge of the entire investigation. The personality and the character of the investigation is the personality and the character of Michael Proctor. They're one and the same. And we'll make sure that that's disclosed to the jury.
The feds devoted a lot of time and resources investigating what happened here. We are now years removed from that, and there's been no action taken. Why is that?
Well, I don't know that there's been no action taken. We don't know about any action taken. There's lots of, it's like,
but no indictments.
No indictments. But it's like looking at a duck on water, Ted. The duck is very still, it's very stable, but under.
Has he been watching our Titanic dossier? Has this man been watching our Titanic? He watches the channel. He saw the duck on water. This is how he tells us.
Beneath the little flippers are going crazy. I don't know what's happening just beneath the surface. I don't know what's happening. I'm not privy to what the federal investigation is actually, where it's going or how far it's led to this point. I do know that they were seminal in providing us with information. And when I say us, it's important to note, providing both sides. They didn't pick a side or choose a side in this. They provided everything that they decided was disclosable. They provided to both sides. The Commonwealth decided they didn't want to use it. As a matter of fact, tried mightily to keep us from using it. Thank goodness, cooler heads prevailed, and we were able to utilize much of what their investigation or what their disclosure consisted of. But if it hadn't been for them, the Commonwealth had been hiding evidence from us for years. And it wasn't until
I'm pausing it. Mandy Joe, you're quickly becoming my favorite child. Don't tell the others. Mandy Joe, do I need to get shirts that say deport Proctor? Because they will be up within the hour if you say yes.
Until the federal investigation and revelation came to pass that we actually sort of were able to look behind the curtain, which is where we should have been looking in the first place. So it was central to our presentation of our defense.
Leah Foley will be the third U.S. attorney, as far as we know, who will at least touch this case.
Right.
Do you expect that having a new head of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston will change anything?
I don't know. I've been incredibly impressed with the U.S. Attorney's Office in terms of the leadership under Ms. Foley's predecessors. Joshua Levy was central in making certain decisions about what to disclose to us, where the investigation was going. Again, I don't know what the full parameters of the investigation are, but I can say that I was very, very happy with what they did and what they disclosed, trying to get the truth out previously. And I hope Ms. Foley does the same thing. I'm looking forward to her continuing the investigation. I hope she does.
When you look at the scope of the federal investigation and all the things that were done, you received 3,000 pages from that investigation. Are there other
Tanya, that's the nicest thing any of my kids has ever said to me. So you're not my favorite. Don't tell the others.
things that might have been done or have been done that you think that should also be turned over or could be turned over?
I don't know. Again, Ted, we're sort of operating a little bit in the blind because I don't know what the full contours of the federal investigation consist of. So it's not like I can say, oh, well, they did this, but I don't have that information. I don't know what this is. The only thing that I have is the information that they provided to both sides. And then we culled through it to decide, oh, okay, is this relevant to our case? And nearly every page of it was highly, highly relevant material.
One of the things that the federal government did was hire this outside accident reconstruction team who would have no vested interest in the outcome of this case. Right. How important was those two accident?
Oh, that's easy. Auntie Deb, because she's not fucking here. I told her to go to the meeting. This is the meeting. She's not at the meeting. So right now, she's grounded.
Reconstructionists coming in saying, no way, no how.
I cannot describe the gravity of...
Nope. The burden's on you. You're my favorite now. Kids, don't beat her with a sock full of oranges. Even though she's my favorite, don't tell the others.
Those two witnesses. First of all, they were unassailable in terms of their credibility and their credentials. There was nobody who testified that was more credentialed to talk about the issues that were attended to them than those two gentlemen, those two doctors, PhDs. The fact that we didn't hire them, they can't be considered hired guns by the prosecution. The fact that the Commonwealth didn't even know their name. They were completely independent third parties who did not know Karen Read or this case, and they did not know that their assessment was attendant to Karen Read or this case. Central to their testimony. Completely credible. I can't describe the gravity of those two witnesses and the impact that it had on the trial and getting to the truth. And what they said echoed everything that we had been learning during the course of our investigation on the defense side, which is that car was not damaged by hitting a human body. It did not hit a person. And John O'Keefe was not injured by being hit by a vehicle. No way, no how. It didn't happen. As one of the witnesses testified, the physics don't lie. The science doesn't lie. The car did not make contact with John O'Keefe. She didn't do this.
Karen, when the ARCA information came in that document dump, I guess, what was your emotion kind of reading what they...
Mandy Joe, thank you. Thank you for this question. Adidas slides. Put your vote in now, kids.
They decided.
I didn't really know the details of it until trial because I did not have the same access to those materials that the attorneys did because of the federal protective order. It was another moment, and there's been so many, that I realized, to put it mildly, how underhanded this prosecution is, that a district attorney can be privy to that accident reconstruction report and continue to pursue this case and not call Drs. Wolf and Rentschler.
Right, they have one job to do. They have one job to do, to seek the truth. They had this information in front of them. As Karen just said, why wouldn't they call them? They should have called them. Their only job is to seek the truth, not to seek a conviction. And the truth is, the physics don't lie. The car didn't hit John. He wasn't killed by being hit by a car. And they not only did they not seek that truth, they tried to suppress it.
And their version of events was almost, it was laughable. It was laughable. It was illogical. It just did. The body just landed. The phone just landed. A side swipe.
Listen, she's not telling a lie. It was laughable. The pirouette, the flopping around, it was the Titanic episode. The thing I showed you, that is what happened. It looked like that. It looked like the referee from that old 1990s wrestling game. And his arm wraps all the way around. And then he gives a thumbs up. Like, it didn't look... I laughed very hard watching it. I watched it like 5 times. It was hilarious because nope, that's not how bodies work, or attacks from cars. That's not how that works. It was wrong.
No bruises. It's not as if they had qualified, credentialed, advanced educated experts to offer another version of events. They didn't have that, and they chose to ignore that, and they chose to present to the court and to the public in a hearing that those federal materials, 3,000 pages, were 90 to 95% consistent with their theory of the case. The theory of the case is a car accident.
The physics don't lie, Proctor do.
Federal materials included a report that said there wasn't a car accident. That's the case. That's 95% of the case. And it was inconsistent. It wasn't just inconsistent. It was diametrically opposed to the Commonwealth's theory of the case, or lie of the case.
On the morning of January 29th, 2022, you said it was possible you might have hit John. How could that even be in the realm if you saw him going into the house?
Because it never crossed my mind that the people we were with, middle-aged adults with children, some of the children were with us that night at the bar,
would be drinking Crystal Light and calling it a diet because it's a chaser, because it says light. It's like when Bert drank 64 ounces of Kool-Aid. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me right now? And then we're celebrating baby Brian's birthday and he's a goddamn adult and Julie Nagel's there? And they don't believe the orcas? This is ridiculous. First of all, orcas are very smart. Second of all, that guy built a cannon to shoot the car just cuz. And he still couldn't make it crack. And he shot it with a goddamn cannon. I don't...
It did not cross my mind for several days that they did this to John, that John was treated like a piece of garbage. These were women and men, some I knew better than others, that I knew to be normal people. And I went through every possibility. He was near the road and he was dying. And I didn't think he was purposely put in that place.
In your opinion, there have been a few names that have surfaced in this third-party culpability
Here we go. Here we go.
theory. Who do you think, if John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Great answer. Great answer. You know why? Because the burden of proof isn't on them to investigate the case. It's on Michael Proctor and the Commonwealth.
And it's not for us to know. Somebody other than Karen is responsible
Beautiful.
for that, for the killing of John. But who it was specifically, others know. And they're not talking.
What is the most important piece of evidence that exists in this case that people could look at and say, hey, there's no way that she could have done this? Is there one thing?
To me, there is. That the only physical evidence connecting me to where John's body was found, which I will not call the crime scene, the only physical evidence, pieces of plastic taillight, were not found until after the state police had possession of that very taillight.
And when you couple that, you're looking for one thing. When you couple that with the testimony of the experts, the third party, absolutely qualified experts, that there was no car accident. The car did not hit John, and John was not hit by a car.
So the taillight pieces, when they were found and when your car was taken, to you, that is the most crucial element of your defense.
It's closely followed by other evidence, but to me, yes.
You've had a private investigator from the start. Is that private investigator still running down tips, and will we see any new revelations at the retrial?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have not slowed down our investigation one iota. So I expect.
Here's the thing. If they bring up the fight, right, then that would be... See, Karen was there, right? Karen was there when that footage happened. I think if there was a fight that she was aware of, maybe she wasn't paying attention, then it would have been brought up before, or they would have tried to admit it into testimony. But the fact that she didn't testify herself, right? There's no real door for that. And if they're going to do a third-party defense, they need to be 100% sure and have all the proof. All they really need to prove is reasonable doubt, so it's not on them. I think opening it up to that fight, causing it, could cause other witnesses who were there at the bar to come forward. Maybe a bartender, maybe other people who have nothing to do with the families. And if they didn't hear anything, even if it did happen, they could testify easily without perjuring themselves that they didn't hear anything. And then that would look bad for Karen. So it's kind of one of those, it's just best not to go down that route unless you have 100% certain evidence. And it's not on them to provide that evidence or to have to prove the third-party defense. You just have to prove that there is reasonable doubt in the current theory and that there is a possibility that other things could have happened due to a third party, but you don't have to prove that the third party did it. I think bringing up the fight could, if there was one, could cause them to call into question, okay, well, then who saw this fight? If it was Karen, she needs to testify. If not, we've got a whole bunch of people who were there, including Higgins, who will just say no. And then you have 6-on-1. And that could be very bad for her. So why take that risk if you don't have to? You know? So I don't think it would be smart of her to do that. And I also think that if she truly thought that a fight happened, that she, like, due to the actions at the waterfall, she would have brought that up before. So I just don't think that it's in her best interest, you know, and Bev won't allow it anyway. But I do think it's not in her best interest because then it'll come down to a battle of the witnesses and she's outnumbered. So it's just something that it's probably not worth risking, you know, because then it opens a door and now they can bring up all sorts of other stuff that she might not want to bring up that could also put her in a position where it's 12-on-1. All it takes is one bartender who wasn't there at the house that night, but was at the bar to say, there was no fight in my bar. We would have had someone get bounced out if there was. Done. Then the jury's going to think she's making shit up. And then they're going to hound the defense and want proof. Give us proof that there was this fight. Do you have a single witness besides Karen? Because if not, you need to put her up there. And they don't want to put her on the stand. They don't want to have her get attacked. So I don't know. I don't think that that's something that they should do. And I think they answered it right. We don't fucking know who did it, and it's not on us. You should ask the people in the house where the body was found on the lawn, because we don't fucking know. That's a good answer. They don't have to know. It keeps them from having to do more investigating it's not their job. They just need to prove that there is doubt that is reasonable. It's reasonable to think lots of other people could have done it. It's not reasonable to think that 6, 10, 15 other people's witness testimony can stand up to one woman's. So that's why I think they didn't answer that or, say that. Larry Legend, welcome to my nightmare. Why is it my nightmare? Because Yannetti is not here. Yannetti's my Matthew McConaughey. I need him here. What if that girl was white? Oh, he's such good openers. What a great speech giver. AJ's pissed as fuck, though. Let's continue. Welcome, Larry. Welcome.
I'm not at liberty to say exactly what might be revealed that's new and different in the second trial, but I expect there will be some new information that comes from our investigation as well.
People send you tips?
All the time. Yeah, the harder part is not getting the tips. The harder part is separating the wheat from the chaff. What tips are valuable enough to sort of chase down, and which just seem like we'd be chasing our tail. But no, we get tips every single day. The public is very, very interested in getting to the truth of what actually
I'm very interested in the fact that you have a tail, sir.
happened to John O'Keefe.
Karen, it's been reported that your defense is running about $5 million. Is that correct? And how do you pay for that?
Give or take a few million. That's a back of the envelope calculation, and it's certainly no pressure put on me in any way by my attorneys.
I do wonder if at this point, because they're retrying it, can they be deposed or subpoenaed? They did offer their services to both groups, so maybe they will just have new analysts come in and testify. Wonder.
The longer this goes, the harder they work, the more time goes into it.
How do you pay for that?
Right now, I'm paying for everything entirely on the charity of supporters. People I know, former colleagues, people, many, thousands of people I don't know. I've liquidated my retirement. I've sold my home. And everything else is from supporters, and it's not a small number. It's approaching $750,000, and I hope the supporters and the donors know that this is their defense, their marshaling.
And by the way, I don't remember the exact number. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who knows, but didn't she sell her home for something like $700,000? I don't even think she got $1 million out of it. Yikes! It's a lot of money, dude. That's a lot of money.
I could early, but it's been 3 years. I've not had income. I had 2 incomes, now I have none. So I'm just incredibly grateful and appreciative. And it was funny when we launched the defense fund, which Alan helped me do logistically through his firm. I was thanking donors the early days, anything sizable or even small ones, because it's not the nominal amount. It's what people can afford or their intention, and especially from strangers. And I was thanking people, and now I can't, but I just want them to know. I see them all, my family members.
Oh, Larry doesn't have a tail. Alan said chasing their tails. Like Alan has a tail. Interesting. Didn't know that. Also, agree. Life's a bit. Also, I want to point out what Ronnie, the EMT, said on TB shit. He said that they didn't know why ARCA was testifying, and they thought that maybe they're insurance people, in which case it would be in their best interest, but maybe not necessarily the truth, to testify a certain way. So it would be nice if they could clarify or find a way to get it through to them that ARCA are big shit and very important and not insurance people. And the other most important thing that I had pointed out, that I think it's the most important, I'm sure plenty of people pointed this out, they were very into the tech stream data, right? But they said that they didn't get enough pictures of the crime scene, and they would have liked to have seen it covered in snow as it was. And TB showed them what it looked like covered in snow. And he's like, would have been nice to see that. Where the body laid, maybe. Maybe some more visuals. And what did Bev say? Fuck you. It's going to be rough to get that in there.
My close friends see them, and other supporters see. Our defense fund page has kind of become its own social media, that people look to see what other parts of this country are people closely following and donating to this defense. So it's keeping us going financially, of course, but also emotionally.
It's important to know, not to interrupt, Ted, but it's important to know that although the attorney time involved is in the multi-million-dollar range, probably $6 million between Mr. Yannetti, myself, Ms. Little, other lawyers who have worked on the case, other individuals, investigators, et cetera. Most of us, all of the lawyers, are not getting paid that. We have not taken that much.
Yo, they can't put JFK and Baby James up on the stand, or all the women's pussies will explode. Everyone will get pregnant. They can't do that. That's not fair to the women in the courtroom.
Money. We're not going to take that money. That's the value that has amassed of the legal services that's been required to mount this defense. But we're not taking the money because she doesn't have the money. And the reason that David Yannetti is doing this, the reason that I'm doing this, the reason that Liza Little is doing this, the reason that Marty Weinberg and Bob Alessi and others are doing this is because it's the right thing to do. None of us are willing to stand by and watch her get railroaded or steamrolled by the power of the government when she did not do this. So we have all decided as a team, we will be here for as long as it takes, and we will fight as hard as it takes to make sure that the truth comes out.
You said you received $750,000 roughly in donations. Who would we be most surprised to hear who's donated to you?
I wouldn't disclose that to you, but some well-known, maybe one of the most well-known names at my former employer. But as I said, that means just as much to me as someone from Alabama who's given me $25 from her last paycheck.
Does that person's name start with an A?
No, he was, it's a he. And just a little more directly involved.
That's just good reporting. He's just going to keep asking it
Yeah.
until he figures it out.
Abby certainly has the money.
I wish, Ted, I wish. And that's not for lack of trying on my part.
The largest group of people who've donated to you are your former coworkers.
Not in volume of.
Yeah, so Susie, I listened to that part 2 or 3 times. I think that was totally misunderstood by TB, with all due respect. I think it was pretty obvious, in my opinion, that the juror was saying, like, we didn't know who bought them. It could have been you. It could have been somebody else. We didn't know that. And then when he goes, it could have been me, blah, blah, the juror even said, like, no, I meant to, like, it could have been anybody. I don't think they actually said Turtle Boy or thought Turtle Boy. He was, the juror during the interview was just making the point that it could have been you. Like, I don't know. We thought it could have been anybody. It could have been you. Could have been him. He's not saying that they at one point thought it was Turtle Boy. At least that's the impression I got. I don't know. What did you guys think?
Of donors, but in proportion of the actual amount donated, about half has come from former colleagues to whom I'm incredibly grateful. And it's kind of taken the sting out of no longer being a part of that world and seeing them every day and doing what I love to do, that I'm still connected, and it's a different life that I have now and a different purpose, and they're contributing to it.
And it's interesting, the perception that she's got this multi-million-dollar defense and this juggernaut defense. It's just not correct. It's not accurate. Yes, she has a very valuable defense working on her behalf, but the money that the donors and the public are providing, the money that that's being given to the defense fund, is paying for the investigators, the expert witnesses, travel for the experts, hotels for the people are flying in from all over the country, we have to account for that. A massive amount of logistics, getting people here so that they can testify, getting people here so that they can do the research. If we need to use research attorneys or other staff, that's what that's paying for. It's not paying for legal fees. None of us are taking legal fees.
For the retrial, you're facing a new special prosecutor. Who would you rather face? Is it Adam Lally, who we saw in the first trial, or is it Hank Brennan?
I don't care who I face. I have the truth. I have the best attorneys that money is not paying for. Do your worst.
What was your take on how the DA's office performed at the first trial?
How they performed? It felt like they just wore the jury down.
Oh, I'm going to have to go back and see that part. Do you remember where it was, Susie, in the interview? I'm going to have to go back and recheck that out.
It felt like a lot of repetition. I don't think the jurors saw the lack of injuries to John's body or his right arm for, I want to say it was week 5, but maybe it just felt like week 5 and it was week 3. They were clearly, and I understand why, belaboring insignificant points and barely touching on the biggest parts of the evidence.
Questions that they couldn't answer. They just decided the prosecution had a design. They were just going to try the case by volume instead of by validity.
Put it all out there.
Put everything out there. And the inconvenient facts that show that John O'Keefe was not killed by Karen Reed would just get buried somewhere in the middle. Our job was to tease that out, which we did. Doesn't matter if they try to do it again. We'll do the same thing. Our job is to make sure that the truth gets out.
Well, it's funny you brought that up, because there are 2 different, maybe even 3 different hot mic moments in the first trial where it's either an audio-visual tech, not the one that's brought by Karen, but just somebody, I guess it could be court TV, both in the courtroom, outside of the courtroom, and then somebody else doing setup of video. At one point or another, all complained about how Lally was boring as fuck on hot mic, or that they couldn't stand him. So technically, a lot of people have already shit-talked Lally on record without giving a fuck.
I think I asked your parents the same question. If you're framed, someone's got to run that, direct that. Who is that person?
I think you know who that person is. I think there's people who are enabling, and there's people who are actually moving pieces.
But is your theory that it's people inside that house, 34 Fairview, who sort of called the shots from the beginning, or someone high up in law enforcement?
I don't know the interconnections, the interpersonal relationships among these people. I have a strong personal opinion that what has motivated this persecution of me is power. There were familiarities among players that never should have happened. There's a sleeve of homicide in the Norfolk DA's office, as there is in the other counties of Massachusetts. And yet the person assigned to investigate this case, ostensibly investigate this case, lives a mile down the street.
Thank you, Boston Terror. That's very nice of you to say, Ladybug, aka Lara. Look at her ears, dude. Not Karen's. Look at Ladybug's. Dude, her ears are so cute. I wish Hugans were like that. I appreciate you, Laura. I like Coogan how his ears are, but it would be sick if they were like way fucking huge. It would be funny if they stuck out of hats. Oh, she's precious. I wish we could breed them. Not in a breeder way, just let them hump each other. But unfortunately, Hugin is gay and Ladybug is Muslim.
From the crime scene. But I believe the players with the most influence are motivated more by power and playing God. And they're trying to play God with my life.
Not to protect people.
People are being protected.
Okay, then you will get the Port Proctor merch.
I don't know if the motivation was actually to protect those people, but it's a byproduct of it. I mean, there are names, and we know those names, that were hidden from me. I only knew who was in that house from the rumor mill, from people I knew in Canton, and it ended up becoming true once we pushed and filed motions and flew the team in. And 2 years later, a year and a half later, we're getting police reports of names of people that were in that house that I did not know about, or they were trying to make sure I didn't know about early in 2022.
And you can't have one without the other. You can't have a motivation to put the case on Karen Read without also being motivated to protect yourself or to protect others that are with you. It would take a real investigation, a true investigation by their own folks to reveal who is part of this. Is there one person that's behind it? I don't think so. In my personal opinion, I think it's a combination of folks. But I don't think that we're ever going to see that true investigation because the people that are in power don't want the truth.
But isn't that what the feds did?
That's ostensibly what the feds did and are continuing to do. I don't know the full contour of what the federal investigation is revealing, but I can certainly say that, to Karen's point, there were people that were never disclosed to us in any reports being in that home that weren't revealed until the federal investigators got involved, and some folks started getting cornered. They realized, oh, hang on, I can't suppress this anymore. There are reasons why I have to now reveal this truth. And then ultimately it was revealed. Why is that? Why were folks being hidden from us in police reports, et cetera, as being in the house, as being pertinent to this investigation? They didn't do anything. Who the hell cares?
Do we know who all those people are now? Were they all part of the first
We
trial?
think we do.
Yeah, at least we think we do.
And by the way, Ted, I think it's probably half of the people that were in 34 Fairview, half of what we think the total number is, were interviewed for the first time with their defense attorneys, with their criminal defense attorneys. What a luxury. What a luxury. Some were interviewed in the first week of this case, the week following John's murder, in their attorneys' homes. Others were interviewed the fall of 2023 in their defense attorneys' offices. Convenient, and what a luxury.
And I've never seen that before either. You were talking earlier about things that are anomalous, an anomaly about this case. I've never seen that before, where like the entire panoply of eyewitnesses, supposedly eyewitnesses.
You know, I think it's the complaints that they were weak. Like, I shouldn't say weak, but short. I saw a lot of people saying, that's it. That's it. 6 minutes, 11 minutes. What did we learn? You know, it wasn't that much. And they said, okay, here you go. I also wonder if AJ and Karen said, you have our blessing. We stand by everything we said. Put out as much as you want. And maybe the news got criticized for, I don't know, maybe pimping Karen too hard or not asking enough questions or it not being long enough. So they said, fine, we'll put out the full unredacted shit. And frankly, I'm glad they did because this is way more riveting than what I saw. Wow. They are getting deep. They are crescendoing with this interview, which is a good way to go. I'm impatient though, so I complained at first, but not too bad. it's getting more comfortable too. You notice the vibe? Everybody's kind of arching their back a little more. They're all a little less fidgety, a little less uptight feeling. They're cool as cucumbers. Now it's almost like we're gossiping around the table having coffee. What did that whore do? I knew it. She fucking lied. Like, it's great. It's great. This is believable. They don't seem staged. They seem casual, off the cuff. We even had a laugh earlier. Not bad.
Is for the government. They'll lawyer up immediately. They're all interviewed with lawyers sitting there. Why? If you're just telling the truth, what do you need to lawyer up for?
Do you think it's just because of the exposure of this case, though?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's self-preservation.
Will you bring any new witnesses to the retrial? Will we see anyone new at the retrial from your side?
I think a lot of that depends on what we get from the Commonwealth. We're still waiting to get the full bucket of information that the Commonwealth is amassing for the second trial. But as soon as they let us know what their witness list looks like, then that will dictate in no small part what our witness list is going to look like. But I fully expect there will be
They're in
some
the
new
bullpen.
witnesses. Yeah, we're not waiting on that. We're pretty good at.
This is a great point. This is actually the point. I think you're right. Because think about it. They can't let her testify. But most of the time when people don't testify, like if it's a man, it's hit or miss. But if it's a woman, it's always like, well, what did she do? Why didn't she testify? If she cries, they call it crocodile tears. If she doesn't cry, they call her cold. She can't win. So this is a way for her to tell her truth without going on the stand. So people cannot say, why isn't she telling her side of it? Here you go. The court of public opinion, believe it or not, does matter in the United States. Don't let them tell you otherwise.
At figuring out that we can telegraph their punches. So we have not been sitting on our hands. I can put it that way. And will you see new faces? Yes, I expect you will.
We're 3 years removed from what happened, and you said that you're still receiving important evidence from the state. Why wouldn't have that been turned over for the first trial?
Because it's exculpatory.
That's the question we've been asking. Why wasn't this turned over during the first trial? And you probably will see that question posed in a formal motion that we will have before the court, before the trial starts. Because that's the right question to ask. Why the hell? You've been prosecuting this case for 3 years. We should have had every scrap of information available to you in our possession before the first trial. We have now learned that did not happen.
Karen, can you give me an example of something that you haven't?
Nope.
Well, the CPD video was just publicized. It's in a
Yeah,
public motion.
yeah, this isn't the place to talk about it. We're about to have a hearing on it. So I'd rather just.
This isn't going to air.
This is okay. We're getting to see. Okay. I'm going to pop in. This is interesting. Because we get to see a little bit. It's not an argument, but we get to see an attorney and their client have a little like powwow of, well, why can't I? Well, here's why. And if they were thinking at first that this was going to be edited out, obviously, kind of cute. Just cute in general. If any attorney had a moment where they're like, well, why not? And they're discussing, like, I love it. I kind of love it. I kind of love seeing the dynamic of like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Don't say a word. Let me handle it. I'm your attorney. Kind of makes me love Jackson a little more. Love Karen. Don't like her being told to shut the fuck up, but I think it's funny when clients are told, nope, here's why. I like to see it in real time.
That you're still receiving important evidence from the state. Why wouldn't have that been turned over for the first trial?
Because it's exculpatory.
That's the question we've been asking. Why wasn't this turned over during the first trial? And you probably will see that question posed in a formal motion that we will have before the court, before the trial starts. Because that's the right question to ask. Why the hell? You've been prosecuting this case for 3 years. We should have had every scrap of information available to you in our possession before the first trial. We have now learned that did not happen.
Karen, can you give me an example of something that you haven't?
Nope.
Well, the CPD video was just publicized. It's in a public motion.
Yeah, this isn't the place to talk about it. We're about to have a hearing on it. So I'd rather just.
This isn't going to air though till after.
But she'll probably be not deciding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. She might not decide it for weeks or months. So I'd rather defer that question.
You've asked the state's highest court to intervene and essentially dismiss the murder charge.
The sign of a good defense attorney, and I think any defense attorney will agree with me on this. This is my opinion only. The sign of a great, fantastic defense attorney is a defense attorney that gets nervous when their client talks. It means they have their client's best interest in mind.
How closely do you follow the decisions that come out every day from that court?
We pretty much take the pulse of that docket every day. We're very interested. We think that we have nothing but the deepest respect.
He's trying to find a nice way to be like, we're just trying to figure out Beverly's moon cycle with a period. Then we found out she was past menopause. We were all distraught.
For the SJC, one of the beauties of the appellate court process is that the more elevated the courts go, the less associated they are with sort of the local issues that are attendant to a particular process.
Again, another reference to climbing that ladder of the appellate. Appellately, it doesn't matter. Climbing the ladder up to the Supreme OGs. Wow. Can you imagine Kavanaugh, the man of the calendars, speaking to them, asking them, where's your calendar? Oh, shit.
Prosecution, a particular courtroom, a particular subject matter. So they're, by design, supposed to be elevated to a point where they can just look at something antiseptically, look at it legally and factually, and make a decision. We're looking very, very forward to the SJC reviewing, ultimately making a decision about, and then coming out with a holding concerning the acquittal of Karen on count 1 and count 3, the murder charge and the leaving the scene with injury charge.
And right now is when I'd play. But it's okay. Because look at that face. Look at that punum. And she's dead ass. Like, is she about to lunge at Ted? Oh, I hope she attacks him.
And when they do come out with that holding, my hope is that it's in our favor. It should be in our favor. We deeply believe legally that it will be in Karen's favor, and that will change the complexion of the second trial significantly.
Karen, aside from the DA's office dropping the charges against you, which is not going to happen, is the SJC decision your best hope?
If the SJC rules in our favor, that'd be a big win. But day to day, Ted, we don't plan on that. Hope for the best, expect the worst. One benefit to the SJC, to the appeal, to the affidavits submitted on behalf of the jurors that reached out to Alan and David, is it will hold a magnifying glass over the verdict, over the governing of the jurors, the logistics of it. So that's something we weren't expecting at the first trial. Things that were going on with the jury. We had issues with the verdict slip at the 11th hour. So this has helped us sort that out in advance of the second trial. So it has served a purpose, even if it's not the best outcome with the SJC.
So the jurors that came forward said that they found you not guilty on second-degree murder, but they were stuck on manslaughter. Why is that? Why do you think that there were people in that box that said, no, we believe Karen struck John?
Actually, I believe, and part of this is a little guesswork and filling in blanks, but the jurors that came forward indicated that they weren't actually even stuck on manslaughter. They were stuck on a subordinate charge beneath manslaughter, which means by definition, they were instructed you have to find not guilty on manslaughter to even go to a subordinate charge. So as it stands, as we sit here today, the information that we have is that she was acquitted on count 1, acquitted on count 3, acquitted on the upper charge of count 2, and they were stuck on something lesser like a DUI or DUI with injury or something like that.
But that would still mean that there were people in that box who thought Karen hit John.
I think that I don't think so, Ted. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that there were people, I think that we dispatched that notion in trial to the nth degree. I don't believe that there were actually jurors in the box who believed that the Commonwealth had proved beyond any and all reasonable doubt that she struck John with her car. I think what they thought was there is a tragic situation, a tragic outcome. A man lost his life, and that is tragic. It's deeply tragic for John, his family. And that there was drinking going on, drinking by Brian Albert, drinking by Brian Higgins, drinking by Chris Albert, everybody, including Karen Reed. And she's the one on trial. Given the fact that there was drinking going on and someone lost their life, I think that there were certain people on the jury who just decided, I don't want to say not guilty across the board. Let's find something lesser to see if we can do something to close that loop for John O'Keefe. I don't think it had really, intellectually, anything to do with Karen Reed actually striking John O'Keefe.
Karen, would you like to see this case tried somewhere else? Moved out of Norfolk County, moved out of Massachusetts?
I'm not afraid of this case being tried in Norfolk County. I'm agnostic.
in terms of picking a jury for the next trial. I mean, it was a challenge the first time around. How the heck do you do it this time?
We're not looking for jurors that haven't heard about the case. That's going to be impossible. We're looking for jurors that haven't formed an opinion about the case, which is possible. And they may have, I know there are people in the jury pool that have maybe heard about the case tangentially or know my face or passed by it on the dial, but don't really know the evidence. I'm optimistic that those people exist and they'll hear the evidence and they'll see the truth. But I believe people in Norfolk County, I've seen it, and I'm not from Norfolk.
I'm so sorry. I have to go back because I had to go do a tinkle and I missed some. Please forgive. Please forgive. These are my two doggies.
Appeal to the affidavits.
Where they can just look at something antiseptically, look at it legally and factually, and make a decision. We're looking very, very forward to the SJC reviewing, ultimately making a decision about, and then coming out with a holding concerning the acquittal of Karen on count 1 and count 3, the murder charge and the leaving the scene with injury charge. And when they do come out with that holding, my hope is that it's in our favor. It should be in our favor. We deeply believe legally that it will be in Karen's favor, and that will change the complexion of the second trial significantly.
Karen, aside from the DA's office dropping the charges against you, which is not going to happen, is the SJC decision your best hope?
If the SJC rules in our favor, that'd be a big win. But day to day, Ted, we don't plan on that. Hope for the best, expect the worst. One benefit to the SJC, to the appeal, to the affidavits submitted on behalf of the jurors that reached out to Alan and David, is it will hold a magnifying glass over the verdict, over the governing of the jurors, the logistics of it. So that's something we weren't expecting at the first trial. Things that were going on with the jury. We had issues with the verdict slip at the 11th hour. So this has helped us sort that out in advance of the second trial. So it has served a purpose, even if it's not the best outcome with the SJC.
So the jurors that came forward said that they found you not guilty on second-degree murder, but they were stuck on manslaughter. Why is that? Why do you think that there were people in that box that said, no, we believe Karen struck John?
Actually, I believe, and part of this is a little guesswork and filling in blanks, but the jurors that came forward indicated that they weren't actually even stuck on manslaughter. They were stuck on a subordinate charge beneath manslaughter, which means by definition, they were instructed you have to find not guilty on manslaughter to even go to a subordinate charge. So as it stands, as we sit here today, the information that we have is that she was acquitted on count 1, acquitted on count 3, acquitted on the upper charge of count 2, and they were stuck on something lesser like a DUI or DUI with injury or something like that.
But that would still mean that there were people in that box who thought Karen hit John.
I think that I don't think so, Ted. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that there were people, I think that we dispatched that notion in trial to the nth degree. I don't believe that there were actually jurors in the box who believed that the Commonwealth had proved beyond any and all reasonable doubt that she struck John with her car. I think what they thought was there is a tragic situation, a tragic outcome. A man lost his life, and that is tragic. It's deeply tragic for John, his family. And that there was drinking going on, drinking by Brian Albert, drinking by Brian Higgins, drinking by Chris Albert, everybody, including Karen Reed. And she's the one on trial. Given the fact that there was drinking going on and someone lost their life, I think that there were certain people on the jury who just decided, I don't want to say not guilty across the board. Let's find something lesser to see if we can do something to close that loop for John O'Keefe. I don't think it had really, intellectually, anything to do with Karen Reed actually striking John O'Keefe.
Karen, would you like to see this case tried somewhere else? Moved out of Norfolk County, moved out of Massachusetts?
I'm not afraid of this case being tried in Norfolk County. I'm agnostic.
In terms of picking a jury for the next trial, I mean,
If I couldn't love Karen anymore, I'm going back again.
That'd be a big win. But day to day, Ted, we don't plan on that. Hope for the best, expect the worst. One benefit to the SJC, to the appeal, to the affidavits submitted on behalf of the jurors that reached out to Alan and David, is it will hold a magnifying glass over the verdict, over the governing of the jurors, the logistics of it. So that's something we weren't expecting at the first trial. Things that were going on with the jury. We had issues with the verdict slip at the 11th hour. So this has helped us sort that out in advance of the second trial. So it has served a purpose, even if it's not the best outcome with the SJC.
So the jurors that came forward said that they found you not guilty on second-degree murder, but they were stuck on manslaughter. Why is that? Why do you think that there were people in that box that said, no, we believe Karen struck John?
Actually, I believe, and part of this is a little guesswork and filling in blanks, but the jurors that came forward indicated that they weren't actually even stuck on manslaughter. They were stuck on a subordinate charge beneath manslaughter, which means by definition, they were instructed you have to find not guilty on manslaughter to even go to a subordinate charge. So as it stands, as we sit here today, the information that we have is that she was acquitted on count 1, acquitted on count 3, acquitted on the upper charge of count 2, and they were stuck on something lesser like a DUI or DUI with injury or something like that.
But that would still mean that there were people in that box who thought Karen hit John.
I think that there are, I don't think so, Ted. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that there were people, I think that we dispatched that notion in trial to the nth degree. I don't believe that there were actually jurors in the box who believed that the Commonwealth had proved beyond any and all reasonable doubt that she struck John with her car. I think what they thought was there is a tragic situation, a tragic outcome. A man lost his life, and that is tragic. It's deeply tragic. For John,
I'm sorry. Could you imagine Bev in jail, though? I mean, really think of that. Like, really think of that. Could you imagine Beverly Cannoni in the slammer? In the slammer, everyone flex your vagines. Could you imagine? Bev would be the Moat King. She would be Red from Orange is the New Black, or she would be maybe a Martha Stewart type, but evil. Fuck, I can't imagine her in there. She'd scare the shit out of everyone.
On his family. And that there was drinking going on, drinking by Brian Albert, drinking by Brian Higgins, drinking by Chris Albert, everybody, including.
Did somebody's tummy just rumble? Did you hear that? Did AJ's tummy rumble? Hold on, I gotta go back.
In trial to the nth degree. I don't believe that there were actually jurors in the box who believed that the Commonwealth had proved beyond any and all reasonable doubt that she struck John with her car. I think what they thought was there is a tragic situation, a tragic outcome. A man lost his life, and that is tragic. It's deeply tragic for John, his family, and that there was drinking going on.
Did you hear that? Those are tummies. We're at 5:43. I'm gonna go back here. Do you listen?
On his family, and that there was drinking going on.
That was their tummy. Did you hear it? I'll go back again. Listen, I'm gonna turn it up real loud as I can. Okay, ready?
On his family, and that there was drinking going on.
I heard his tummy rumble. I hope he ate. Oh my God, that was loud, Alan. I think my boner's back.
Drinking by Brian Albert, drinking by Brian Higgins, drinking by Chris Albert, everybody, including Karen Reed. And she's the one on trial. Given the fact that there was drinking going on and someone lost their life, I think that there were certain people on the jury who just decided, I don't want to say not guilty across the board. Let's find something lesser to see if we can do something to close that loop for John O'Keefe. I don't think it had really intellectually anything to do with Karen Reed actually striking John O'Keefe.
Karen, would you like to see this case tried somewhere else? Moved out of Norfolk County, moved out of Massachusetts?
I'm not afraid of this case being tried in Norfolk County. I'm agnostic.
In terms of picking a jury for the next trial, I mean, it was a challenge the first time around. How the heck do you do it this time?
We're not looking for jurors that haven't heard about the case. That's going to be impossible. We're looking for jurors that haven't formed an opinion about the case, which is possible. And they may have, I know there are people in the jury pool that have maybe heard about the case tangentially or know my face, or
they need to get Billy Tibbetts in the jury. Just a thought.
Pass by it on the dial, but don't really know the evidence. I'm optimistic that those people exist and they'll hear the evidence and they'll see the truth. But I believe people in Norfolk County, I've seen it, and I'm not from Norfolk County. I didn't live there. I wasn't raised there, but they're smart and savvy and they're passionate. And when they do hear about the case, most of my supporters, I would guess, are from Norfolk County proportionately, and they're intelligent. They see this for what it is by following the evidence really closely. So I just need jurors that'll do that. I haven't done it yet, but will be willing to do that.
You've spoken at length about this case and the circumstances that have happened. Why not take the stand?
I am not saying that I am not taking the stand. I felt confident in our case, in our defense, because a lot of our case was our cross-examination of these witnesses. And we made a game time decision, and I take the advice of my attorneys, but I'm not afraid of taking a stand. And I'm clearly not afraid of speaking, but I will not assign any genuine, truthful intentions to the prosecution. And I've already seen signs there. You know, they're playing hardball. So we'll weigh the pros and cons, and we'll make another second game time decision.
Do you think that this is personal for the DA's office? That they want a conviction more than probably any conviction they've ever gotten before?
Yes.
And there are certainly people, there are certainly people involved with the prosecution who want exactly that. I would venture to say there's not a single person in the Commonwealth at the prosecution level. I don't think there's a single person at the investigative level with law enforcement who actually believes in their heart that they can prove this case against Karen beyond any and all reasonable doubt. I don't think that there's a soul at the prosecution involved with the prosecution that believes that. Not a soul. I believe this is more a trial of a vendetta, of personal animus, of trying to save face. I don't think anybody there, honestly, put him down, strap him to a lie detector. Do you think you can prove this case beyond any reasonable doubt that Karen Read did this? Nope, I don't think so. So yeah, I think there's a lot of personal interest and personal animus that has gotten in the way of the prosecution and the Commonwealth doing their duty, their sworn duty, not to prosecute someone unless they believe they can do so to a jury, an objective jury of her peers beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't think any one of them think that.
Karen, is it your understanding that nobody in the Norfolk DA's office would try this case, and that's why they went to Hank Brennan?
We've heard rumors to that.
Oh shit, Turbo, new member. Hi, Turbo. Turbo, I checked Discord. I've been going through the dossier. I cannot wait to have you on. Oh my God.
To that effect. And it was from some of the same people that told us Hank Brennan was being recruited within weeks of the mistrial. So I lend some credence to those rumors, but they're just rumors. And also, no one in the DA's office is trying this case for the retrial.
This case has become your identity. Is that for the rest of your life? Or will one day you just want to put...
That's an interesting statement. No one in the DA's office is... Wait, go back. What was that? Also, by the way, follow Turbo's channel. She was in the courtroom for Delphi. If you're interested in Delphi, follow her channel. I cannot recommend him more. I want to hear what she said one more time. Sorry, I'm going to go back a little.
It was from some of the same people that told us Hank Brennan was being recruited within weeks of the mistrial. So I lend some credence to those rumors, but they're just rumors. And also, no one in the DA's office is trying this case for the retrial.
This case has become your identity. Is that for the rest of your life? Or will one day you just want to put it all behind you?
I don't think I can, even if I wanted to. And I'm okay with that. It's more important, this fight, than anything I've done by a wide margin. And
thank you, Ernie.
It's made me realize that this happens all the time. And I'm just fortunate enough to be able to fight back. But what's happened to me has happened too easily, too swiftly, with seemingly no checks and balances other than the ones we can bring.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt her again, but I got to point this out. That is a good point. Proctor, after the testimony of, it was Jackson. It was Jackson's closing arguments. Proctor texted DA Adam Lally and let him know that he wasn't going to watch asshole Proctor, that he didn't watch it, inferring that he was watching other parts of the trial. And as a witness, he's not supposed to do that, even though he is the lead investigator. So even after being told, no, you're bad at texting. Give me your phone. A bad boy. He continued to call the defense's lawyer, Karen's lawyer, an asshole. in a private text to the DA. That's bad. Like that, I can't. Holy shit.
But this can't be the first, it can't be the first time. And it's 2025 in Massachusetts, and it's happening right before everyone's eyes. It's hiding in plain sight. So this is a problem that I hope I'm here to address. And even if I'm not, it will be addressed. We're doing it right now. Regardless of the outcome, which will be an acquittal, eyes have been opened. That's why Alan and I are sitting here, is there's interest, and people are evaluating their law enforcement and their elected officials and their district attorneys with a more critical eye than they were before. And that's a bigger impact and a purpose that I could have, even if it's been very, very difficult for me and the people that are closest to me.
Something that the prosecution has recently been focused on were calls you made to your mother overnight. What were those calls about?
Anyone who spent any...
By the way, remember the video I made? I'll play it again later. What was it that Hank Brennan said? He said, when I have a client, they're just like family to me. And just like family, if that client needs to reach out to me and give me a call, whether it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to take that call, whether it's Whitey Bulger or my brother, because that client is like a family to me. That's what Hank Brennan said. He said that with his own mouth. I'll show you again. He said it is total. Everything's fucking up over here. The internet's so bad. He said straight up, he said, my clients are like family to me. And just like family, if they call me at 1, 2 in the morning in the middle of the night, he said. So he is on record saying for everyone to see that Whitey Bulger is like family to him, a man who he made no bones about it, definitely was responsible and guilty for everything that he got charged with. Remember what Hank said? This isn't about my client. This is about the FBI allowing my client, enabling my client to commit crimes. The FBI is the criminal, and my client is not a rat. This guy said that not only does his family call him in the middle of the night, this is totally normal. In fact, it'd be normal if the biggest mobster in Boston gave him a call too. But God forbid Karen call her own mother at 1:30 in the morning. Jesus Christ. I can't believe this shit. This part is really what bothers me.
5 in Massachusetts, and it's happening right before everyone's eyes. It's hiding in plain sight. So this is a problem that I hope I'm here to address. And even if I'm not, it will be addressed. We're doing it right now. Regardless of the outcome, which will be an acquittal, eyes have been opened. That's why Alan and I are sitting here, is there's interest, and people are evaluating their law enforcement and their elected officials and their district attorneys with a more critical eye than they were before. And that's a bigger impact and a purpose that I could have, even if it's been very, very difficult for me and the people that are closest to me.
Something that the prosecution has recently been focused on were calls you made to your mother overnight. What were those calls about?
Anyone who spent any time with me throughout my life knows I'm incredibly close to my parents. And I was very troubled to put it. You've heard the voicemails. It was a blizzard. There were young children unattended. And John, uncharacteristically, when I say uncharacteristically, I mean he's never done that before at that hour in those conditions. And I was panicked. I was torn between, did something go wrong, or is he purposely ignoring me and taking advantage of me to go home to the kids while he stay out drinking? And as I do, and do I wish I did it less?
This is actually true. He did cry at the funeral. Multiple witnesses said that. I believe there was even a photograph that was in a local paper that always makes me pay when I want to get access to anything from it. Fucking Boston. But it is true. He is still in litigation for the estate. In fact, he was, last I checked, filing the wrongful death suit on behalf of the family. And he was trying to extend his services to victims because he blames the government, and so do they. He thinks Whitey's only responsible for the racketeering and the RICO charges, and that all the murdery stuff and all the strangling of his associates' partners, he's trying to convince everyone that was Kevin Weeks. And what's his name? Matarino, I never say it right. Matarato, an old other big boy. Matarano. Also keep in mind that the owner of the liquor store that Whitey shook down and had a little kid, the little toddler, playing with the gun, threatening the lives of the family. Yeah, that guy, that witness, he died. What was it, a day after he was supposed to testify? Oh my God, dude. So for him to say that, oh, fuck him. That's rich. That is rich, Hank. Ugh. But yeah, he was suing for wrongful death because of how Whitey died in prison. He doesn't think he should have been transported because of a medical condition. He says it's kind of, there's something weird. There must be collusion. They put him in a place with Italians and other angry ex-associates of people who swore vengeance on the Winter Hill gang. It was two dirtbags who had a grudge, who were pissed off. And yeah, they were doing gangbanger shit, and they beat him into a pile of meat sauce. They beat him until he was sludge. He was a big, spongy, just blob of a human. And that's what happens when you kill a fuckload of people and are a gangland warlord for a long time. So it's fucking wild. It's so wild that Hank represented that guy. And he's trying to get revenge for Whitey still. He reminds me a lot of John Ray, to be honest.
Yes, but now I need her more than ever, as I normally would do. I'd reach out to my mother for, what do you think's happening? And I, reach out to them every day now that night just, it's like I never woke up from it. So
I think the fact that the prosecution seems to be focusing on those.
Well, no, actually, interestingly enough, Winter Hill Gang did swear vengeance on Whitey because Whitey was an informant. And the original Winter Hill guys, back when they had the automotive yard, or I should say the automotive building in Southie, not the big one that is all bricks in a more downtowny area of Boston, but the Southie location. It's now a Pentecostal church. What's interesting is when Whitey came back after the supposed MK Ultra experiments and he spent all that time in jail, he was a little bit fucking nutty, right? And the guys from Winter Hill were all getting ticked off one at a time. And it just so conveniently happened that Whitey rose to the top. And he had just gotten out of Alcatraz. And yeah, the OG members did not like the direction Whitey took it, because he says he's going to take it this way and he does a swerve and he goes the other way. They didn't like the addition of drugs. There were just a lot of different things. Those mobsters, from what I've read, and this is all just based on, because I'm obsessed with the fucking Irish mob and the Italian mob. So that's my shit. That's what I'm into. I could tell you all about it all day. The original OG guys, I think one of them's name was Buddy, if I remember correctly, or Billy. He supposedly was beloved in the community. People were like, oh, he was great. He was great. We absolutely love him. Uh-oh. Your auntie's calling, but I can't answer right now. Oh, no. Think she's going to be okay? If she calls back a third time, we'll answer. I thought it was someone else. I thought it was my old boss. Oops. Anyway, they were pissed off because they said, hey, you're supposed to protect, like all the shit where he's like walking an old lady into her house in black mass. That was all bullshit. That's how the original gang would behave. It's kind of like how the cartel went from like, we're protectors to we are fucking insane and gonna kill everybody. People saw them in the beginning as different. And Whitey took them to that insanity level. And then to get seen as a snitch, I mean, he had people from his own gang, from his gang before it was in his hands. The Italians, everybody wanted to fucking kill him. It's fucking wild. All right, I'll continue this. I'll hit up Auntie. I'll be right back.
Calls and trying to wrap Karen's parents into this just shows a level of desperation that shows or suggests that the prosecution understands how thin, paper thin, chiffon thin their case is. They can't prove this case, and so they're just sort of desperately looking to scattershot other information to make innuendo about why would she call her mother. Like she calls her parents all the time. There's no there. Doesn't mean that the prosecution isn't going to look and make suggestions about it, but it's a desperate ploy, and there's nothing there.
What would surprise me or the people watching this about something that's transpired over the last 3 years?
I don't think so. I think one of the things that we've tried to do on the defense team from the beginning is pull that veil back, pull the curtain back, and show all the warts and blemishes of the Massachusetts State Police, the Canton Police Department, the investigative techniques that they used or didn't use, the Commonwealth's prosecution of a case like this. We wanted everybody to see everything. And we were pretty successful in that in terms of the presentation in front of the first jury. We intend to do it again in front of the second jury. So the thing that's most shocking is the full universe of information that now the community has in front of it. We have gotten call after call after call, email after email, text after text from community members who don't know us, certainly don't know me. I'm from California, saying this kind of thing happened to my family. This kind of thing happened to me. This kind of thing happened to my son. This kind of thing happened to my father, my mother. And nobody would ever look at it. Nobody would believe us. Nobody would listen. Thank God you folks have found the platform to show what actually is happening in our community. That's what has been most surprising. And it's there for everybody to see.
What is your relationship with Adam Lally and Hank Brennan? Is it cordial?
There's no relationship.
I mean, you have to deal with them back and forth.
Not her.
Not me.
Okay. Your relationship with Hank Brennan?
Completely professional.
Okay.
Cordial, civil, professional. And that's all I expect. If he's going to prosecute this case, the only thing I expect from him is professionalism, which he has given me. It doesn't get, at least with me and with David and with Liza, it doesn't get personal. We deal with what we need to deal with in the courtroom.
Was that the same way with Adam Lally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, by and large. I disagree vehemently, vigorously with their prosecution of this case. Yeah. They know that. I haven't made that, that is out there. But in terms of just day-to-day interaction, I expect the highest level of professionalism from them, and they get it from us.
It's business.
It's business.
State police have had people follow your drivers?
Yep. Our drivers have been approached by the state police. They're no longer some are no longer my drivers because of that. I've had very close friends, had their cell phone records subpoenaed for an indictment that never happened. There's a lot of attempts to glean more about our team.
By the way,
by the state police.
I want to make a statement here because this shit pisses me off too. People get mad and say, why does she have drivers? I've seen that a lot in comments. Didn't she get her license suspended? Wasn't that like part of the deal? She's not allowed to operate a vehicle. Am I wrong? Can someone confirm? Because that's what I heard. So, like, chill maybe. She can't fucking drive. And even if it wasn't suspended, the optics aren't good. Yeah, she had her license pulled. She can't drive on bail. So enough of that shit. What is that? Goddamn. They think that she's just blowing money on limos. All you people out there funding so this woman can drive around. with limo service and a chauffeur. No. Dipshit. She's Uber bound. Because she's goddamn Karen Reed. She got her shit took away. It was not plumb awesome. She's on bail. She can't drive. Okay? So, you see anybody say that, tell them that's assault. She has no ID. I mean, at best, she's getting an Uber Lux. But now you're saying that her drivers are fucking dry snitching on everything she does. What tampon she wears. What her hair smells like. She's got to be fucking careful, dude. 2 new crowns and a numb mouth. And OB still streaming. Shit, yeah. That's the new song, Melissa. Put it in. How are you doing, Andrea? I'm excited for your new crowns. You are a double queen.
There's probably, I wouldn't put it past him to, something's going on as I'm sitting here.
Have you ever been followed?
I don't know. My eyes are akimbo all the time. I look at law enforcement differently, more warily. I don't know that I'm being followed. I've been tracked. I mean, I've been tracked on flights. I've been tracked when I've stayed in hotels. This is in.
How do you know you're being tracked?
I know from affidavits from the state police at the Norfolk DA's office when they were investigating me last year. I was with my closest friend trying to get away from Massachusetts, and little did I know at the time, I learned about it afterwards, that they knew what flight I was on, they knew when I landed, they knew when I came back, and it's disturbing. It's invasive, and it's desperate. Getting back to sort of just distilling, what is the one thing in this case that you believe proves your innocence? John's body, no bruise, 6,000-pound full-size SUV, not a bruise on his body, not a fracture below his head. The medical examiner did not rule his death a homicide, correct? Correct. Was it undetermined? Yes. And that doesn't get revisited, correct?
Oh, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to revisit that. I don't think it'll be revisited by her. I mean, she came to the decision she came to the decision of. Right. So I don't think she's not gonna. And if she does deviate from that decision, she's gonna have to answer for that, and that will be an incredibly uncomfortable situation. I don't think that will happen. But it's very telling that their own best expert, as it pertains to the physical evidence surrounding John and John's injuries, did not rule this a homicide. And they have the burden of proof. That's one of the galling factors in this entire thing, is the Commonwealth knows that their own expert or experts will not support their prosecution of Karen. Then dismiss the case. Do the right thing. Just do the right thing. And it's shocking that they won't. John's niece and nephew, who he was taking care of, essentially testified against you in the trial. How hard was that? I knew that was coming because I read what they testified to in the initial indictment almost 3 years ago. And they're part of a well that was poisoned almost as soon as he died. And they were 3 years younger then and impressionable and surrounded by adults that care for them and provide for them. And I was no longer one of those adults. And it's unfortunate, and I hope and wish for the best for them, but I've long come to terms with what's happened to the children. Has Paul O'Keefe ever made any statements to you walking by or anything? He sends me, he hasn't in a while, but he's attempted to send me Facebook messages. It's ironic because there's a stay away order, and yet I hear, they've attempted to send me messages, and as soon as I see the name comes up, I just delete it. I'm not interested in anything he has to say to me. What do you think might be the tenor of those messages? Negative, volatile. I mean, there was some volatility in court, and I think I'd attribute the same cause to Paul's emotions as I would to the children's. Can you feel him staring at you? I honestly don't even know he's there anymore. I mean, I'm aware that his immediate family's in the courtroom, but there's days that, we come home from hearings or we came home from court, and someone close to me will say, was that so-and-so on the O'Keefe side? And I say, I honestly, I almost look through them at this point. I know they're there, and my family would be there. My family is there. But the O'Keefe's presence, Paul sitting there, doesn't impact me. It doesn't bother me. That's John's brother. But I couldn't tell you from one day to the next what color shirt he was wearing. If you were framed, who's calling the shots? There's so many levels there, right? There's
the troopers on the ground, there's the prosecutors, there's the DA.
That's the problem. Is the and this is this is just us talking, but that's the problem with answering that question or trying to narrow that question. And she can answer it whichever way she wants to, but it can't be one. It's not one person. It's not. It's just not. There's not a singular tip of the spear.
Do you want to say? Do you want to? I mean, if that's the
that is my opinion.
Yeah. I want to hear you.
I just want to add to that. I already answered it very pointedly, but there's a garbage in, garbage out problem that forensic scientists or civilians or even local law enforcement that's assisting the investigators, their output and their determinations are only as good as what they're given, what they're testing, what they're measuring, what they're photographing. So I don't believe it's necessarily 40 different people, but I think.
Andrea, what? This past Valentine's Day? No. You weren't the one going on a date, were you? No, that was Megan, right? Andrea, what the fuck? Did you report them? Are you okay? Go best friend. Oh my God, get you a friend that stays by your side like Andrea's. Damn, dude. I'm glad you're here. Holy fuck. Oh my God. That's terrifying. If you need anything, let us know, hun. Yeah, please report them too. For fuck's sake. The bar, wherever it was. Or at least see if you can get some fucking footage and find out who did that, dude. What the fuck? Hit me up if you need help with anything. If you need help tracking down footage or something. God, that's terrifying.
It's garbage in, garbage out.
5, 10 years from now, where's Karen Read? What is she doing?
I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'll be busy, whatever I'm doing. And I care and I think more about whom will I be with. And God willing, it's my parents and the people who've seen me through this. And I hope to meet more of the people that are helping to pull our team through.
Do you have the capacity to find someone new one day, or has that all just been destroyed by all of this?
No, it's not destroyed. I didn't do anything wrong. And I cared for someone and he cared for me. And it ended tragically. And tragic things happen to relationships every day, to 67 relationships are exponential this morning or last night. So I will not be permanently broken. I'm not broken temporarily. I've just been sidelined from what I thought I was doing on this planet. And it wasn't what I thought I was supposed to be doing. But there's been no irreparable damage to me or what I want out of life or what I want to make me happy.
Did you always know that you had this strength?
I could not have known that I could deal with what I'm dealing with, but I've never been deterred by anything in my life. And I have had challenges, not quite as big as this, but health challenges that severely incapacitated me and ruined my physical quality of life. This is more of a mental obstacle now, but I'm invigorated by challenges. It makes me feel stronger to overcome things. And I think part of the reason I can adapt to this new normal I'm in is because I've had to do it before. And I've been strengthened by the events in my life that brought me to 2022.
The hundreds of thousands of people who might be watching this, what would you like to say to them?
Thank you to the vast majority of them. And like I've said earlier, only people very close to me knew the truth for a very long time, living day to day without a job, without anything to really focus on but this case, and know that even my neighbors, who I could see out my window, didn't really know the circumstances. And to have hundreds of thousands hear this and be enlightened is just a massive relief. And the support that people come up to me, to my family, Alan and I had a meal paid for in the North End, and it was, I don't know the last time I've done anything but tip a waiter. And that generosity, that's all helping fuel this. It helps me spiritually, and it helps me financially, and I want to thank the vast majority of those people.
Okay. So I was paying attention to the chat, and I think that was a good interview, but we are going to derail because I want to talk about, and I'm not trying to put you on blast, Andrea. You don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but Thank you for sharing with us. You had 3 beers over 2 hours at an art show at a bar. Then Spence couldn't stand up. What the fuck? Drink covers for everyone. Mandatory. Thank God for women who watch out for each other. True. True. And before I comment on what we saw, I want to show you guys this because I've seen this shit before. And like, I don't drink, but I have friends who do. And I've bought them stuff like this in the past. But one of them was telling me about a bracelet. And I looked it up. And I'm going to show it to you. Because it is a drink spiker bracelet so that you can essentially, hold on. I don't want to share all this shit. Okay, here's what I'll do. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. I want to pull this open in an incognito window so you don't see Darlene's address, which is on there because of cat food. Let me see. There we go. And also, I probably need to change that back so that Darlene does not get my Amazon orders. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me share this. So there was a roofie nail polish that was invented in 2014 by some students where you could put this nail polish on, right? And it detects a drink, but you got to stick your finger in the drink. There's other ways. There's other ways too. So I'm going to show you these real quick. Give me 1 second so I can make sure I get the right thing up. Here we go. All right. And I will put a link to them, but the link is so long. I'll put a link to them below though. Okay. Check this out. Here, I'm going to take all this down and myself. So this is a drink check. It's a wristband and you put it on and you dab a little booze on it and it can detect GHB and various other, I believe, date rape drugs. I think there might be one that does multiple different kinds, but I think this is a general one. And I have heard that they're making some for fentanyl like this. Look, there's one right there. But this itself is just a wristband that you can take and you can dab it on and you can just test your shit. Put 2 to 3 drops on the test field, wait 10 seconds. Strong blue, drink is spiked. Isn't that interesting? So this is something that I think could be helpful. Again, I don't drink. I haven't tested these out. I have friends who do. Now look at this one. It tells you put 3 to 4 drops. You wait 10 seconds. Green or yellow means negative test. No GHB. Blue, GHB. And you can do multiple drinks on it. And if you're a big old drunk dingbat, a ditzy girl, you can wear 2 wristbands. There's also these strips that you can get that you could just take with you in your pocket called What's in Your Drink. And look at that. It tells you an expiration date. Place 1 drop of your beverage onto both spots of the test. Smear each gently. Wait until dry. Blue color. And see the back. This test is designed for gamma hydroxybutyrate, GHB, and ketamine in realistic concentrations. Interesting. So this one's ketamine. So apparently you can get a few different kinds. You can get a few different kinds. Because I'm also wondering, what about other things? This one, that's a whole kit. Professional breathalyzer. What do we got here in the, let me see. Drink spiked. Let's see if they have the nail polish around still. Let's quit biting. No. Oh, here we go. This does ketamine and GHB. Okay. What about Rehypnol? Here's a nightcap as seen on Shark Tank. That's fun. Oh, that's a whole like COVID situation. What is this? Oh, look at the. Oh, this is the one. It's $145. But it's cocaine, scopolamine, ketamine, GHB. Wow. And you get a lot. Scopolamine too? Oh my God. They've thought of everything. Perfect. Perfect. This is great. Probably worth it. And this one gives you all different kinds of stuff. Wow. Man. If you're the one who needs to be drugged, I mean, I just wouldn't test it. I guess play Polish roulette, you dingbat. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm sorry that happened, Andrea. Immediately, I'm like, well, how can we prevent this in the future? You poor thing. I'm glad that you had a friend with you, though. That's really horrible. Oh, fuck. I just want to go beat their ass. We need to find out who did this to you, Andrea. We need to go find out who fucking did this, and we need to get revenge. We do. We need to get revenge. They can't keep doing this to our kids. I have to go soon. I love you guys. You're the best. Remember that you can donate to Karen Reed's defense at the Pay To It website, which I will link below. You can donate to Hugin's defense at Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. You can donate to your own defense by sending me a link and then telling me what you did. And you can buy test strips for all the drugs. And then you can test your things. But even if you forget the test, it's not your fault. It is incumbent upon those around you not to drug you. It's never your fault. However, it is interesting to see what preventative methods are out there. In case you are afraid, you don't want to be stuck at home all the time. You'd like to go out, but you start thinking, oh no, what if I get drugged again? What even is scopolamine? It's called Buradanga. It's Colombian. And it is a thing where you go and just the dust can barely hit you and you are doing whatever someone says. A lot of people, they will call it a date rape drug. But what it really does is it affects receptors. It just kind of shuts down your ability to say yes or no. So really to say no. You're just like, okay, you just do what people say. And you're in a trance and it's fucked up and it's terrifying. Too much of it can be deadly. And there's an insane interview on the Vice channel on YouTube. You can just type in scopolamine Vice and watch it. And it is insane. And I will link it below. It is a big thing in South America, Colombia, but it has made its way to the U.S. It's been found in parts of California. It is scary as fuck. So arrogant to think of because I had my friends with me. These things. Hey, you know what? You weren't arrogant. Again, we've been trained in society to now feel bad for getting drugged. It's not your fault. However, it is unfortunate that we live in a society where we would have to do it. And I can see how someone who has had that happen to them, or maybe someone who just wants to ensure it absolutely can't and take as many restrictions as they can, I can see how wanting other resources to make sure it doesn't happen again could be valuable, you know? And if you guys have any ideas, put them in the comments below this video and I will pin it. But don't ever blame yourself because someone else did a dickish thing. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play That's Assault. Is that inappropriate? I apologize. But it is the closing song. So, I mean, technically what they tried to do was assault. But anyway. Dude, we're going to talk about this. And also, I see you're from Austin too, Mandy Joe. Hello, hello. Have a lot of thoughts on that. We'll talk about that one day. I actually have some videos where I went down there and showed them the bridge. And I plan on going and showing them all the different spots. And I did order a shitload of reports from the ME. And I've been tracking them for like almost 20 years since the Iranian professor. So I'm going to like make a pretty good comprehensive map and breakdown. And we're going to do a whole thing with that. If you're here, let's get coffee. Maybe you can come too and we can look in the spooky woods. Okay. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I think you've seen enough of me, and I adore you guys. And thank you for coming and supporting me on my Hell in a Cell adventure, and supporting Karen, and supporting freedom of press. Coffin Doffer is so bad at tier 3 surveillance. Like, what is she doing? This is embarrassing. Okay. Love you guys. You're the best. We are definitely going to get Deport Proctor shirts. They will be in the store by the end of the day. Goodbye, good night. You're the best. I love you.
System. The people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders.
That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that, man. Pop that, man. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that, man. Break that, pop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that, man. Man. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that go? I will. Excuse me. Excuse me. Break that. That's assault. Ma'am. You cannot touch me like that. Break 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 that. Oh, I will tell you. Break that. Break that. That's assault. That's assault. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that. Stop that chair here. Man, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. Break that. Stop that chair. Man. Stop that chair. Man. Stop that chair. Man. These people are going to eject you from this line. Break that. That's break that. Break that. That's assault. Break that. Man. Break that. Oh, I will. Man. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Stop that chair. That's assault. Break that. Man, that's assault. Man, break that. Man, break that. Stop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. Man, that's assault. Man, it is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will tell you exactly what happened. Break that. Break that. Man. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that show? I will be. Excuse me. Man. Excuse me. Break that. That's assault. Stop that chair. Man. You cannot touch me like that. Break that. Break that. Break that. Break that. Break that. That's break that. Break that. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that. Break that. That's assault. Stop that. That's assault. That's assault. Stop that. Break that. That's assault. Stop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that. Stop that chair here. Man, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. Break that. Stop that chair. Stop that chair. Stop that chair. Man, these people are going to eject you from this line. Break that. That's break that. Break that. That's assault. Break that. Man. Break that. Oh, I will. Man. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Stop that chair. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 That's assault.